So we are here with the last two sums that we have to do of this exercise. That is 9 and 10. 11 and 12 we are not doing. Please cancel those sums. Now these two sums that you see, 9 and 10, are a little tricky and a little difficult, but I will try to make it as simple as possible for you. So listen to the explanation very, very carefully. The 10th sum says, the ninth one, to stitch a trouser 1 meter 30 centimeter of cloth is needed. Out of 15 meters of cloth, how many trousers can be stitched and how much cloth will remain? Now they have given us the measurement required to make one trouser. I have written out here, cloth required for one trouser is 1 meter 30 centimeters. And the length of the cloth they have is 15 meters. That means to make every trouser, to make one trouser for a person, you will require 1 meter and 30 centimeters of cloth. But the total cloth out here available is 15 meters. They are asking you how many trousers will be made, and after those trousers are made, how much material will still be left behind. So in order to work out this sum, what operation will come, we'll discuss later on. But whatever may be the operation between these two numbers that I have, which I will tell you later, I cannot work with meters and centimeters and meters. Either both the quantities should be meters or both the quantities should be centimeters. So here what I will do is I will convert everything into centimeters. For that, you must remember the fact, and that's one fact that you must have learned in the lower classes, is that 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. This knowledge you must have, that 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. That will help you to convert your meters into centimeters. So I am going to convert the cloth required for one trouser all in centimeters, and the length of the cloth that I have, that also all in centimeters. So what do I do? This is already in this 30 is already centimeters. I need to change this 1 meter to centimeters. So I multiply this 1 by 100 and I get 100 centimeters. I get 100 centimeters. Now this meter, 1 meter has been changed to 100 centimeter. I don't need to change this 30 centimeters because that's already in centimeters. All I need to do is add this 100 centimeters to this 30 centimeters. And I will get 130 centimeters. I will circle it because this is the measurement that I have converted of the cloth required for one trouser. So I have converted the cloth required for one trouser as 130 centimeters. That in centimeters is the requirement to make one trouser. Now I will change the length of the cloth that they have, that is 15 meters, also into centimeters. Here again, to change meters to centimeters, I multiply by 100 because 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. 2 meters, 200 centimeters. 3 meters, 300 centimeters. 4 meters, 400 centimeters. 5 meters, 500 centimeters, and so on and so forth. So what am I doing all the time to change meters to centimeters? Whatever is the unit multiplied by 100, it is changed to centimeters. Why? Because 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. So I will convert this also, and I will multiply 15 by 100, and I will get 1,500 centimeters. I will circle this also because that is the length of the cloth that we have before the trousers are going to be made. So the total length of cloth that we have, all the cloth that we have, stretches out, or when we measure it, we come to know that it is 1,500 centimeters. It stretches to the length of 1,500 centimeters, the cloth that we have. Now the cloth required to make one trouser in 130 centimeters. So when I'm going to make the trouser out of that cloth, the cloth needs to be cut. I have to cut the cloth to make the trousers. Such a long cloth of 1500 centimeters or 1500 centimeters, the cloth has to be cut every time to make one trouser at a time. So when I am cutting something in parts, what am I doing? I am dividing. So this answer can be attained only by dividing. I have to divide in order to get my answer. So what do I divide by what? I divide the total length of the cloth by the cloth required to make one trouser. And I will come to know the number of trousers that will be made with this cloth that I have of 1500 centimeters. So to find the number of trousers, I will divide the length of cloth. I will put it upon. I can write it this way or I can put a division sign. It means the same thing. Length of the cloth divided by cloth. REQ means required for one trouser. Now I've put in a division bar. The basic reason being because I don't have any space to write any further. You can also put a division sign. A number upon a number means that number is being divided by the other number. In fractions, we learn numerator, denominator. N upon D or numerator upon denominator means the number on top is being divided by the number down. When we put a division bar, you can also put a division sign. This is just to tell you as to how will you get the number of trousers. That is, the length of the cloth has to be multiplied by the length required or the length of the cloth required to make one trouser. Now I will write it as 1500 divided by 130. Remember, I have put the division bar out here because I do not have any space to write anymore. I could have, if I had space, I would have put the division sign here and continued to write. So instead of a division sign, I've used a division bar. It means the same thing. In any case, you're dividing one number by the other number. So I get 1500 divided by 130. So now I take 1500 and I divide it by 130. And I see what answer do I get. Now 130 goes into 150 one time. I get a remainder of 0, 2, 0. I get a remainder of 20. That 0 comes down. 200, 130, 2s are 260. It cannot go in 200. So again, it will go one time. And again, I will get 130. And now my remainder will be 0, 10, 7. Since I borrowed from here, this 2 becomes 1 and this becomes 0. Now I cannot divide any further. That's my remainder. So this is the remaining material, or this is the remaining cloth that is left with the person, whoever is making the trousers. And how many trousers have been made? 11 trousers can be made. When I divide 1500 meters of cloth into pieces of 130 each, because 130 centimeters is required to make one trouser. So 130, 130, 130, the tailor is going to keep on cutting 130, 130, 130. He will get 11 pieces from which he can make 11 trousers. At the end of cutting all the 11 pieces, that much material is still left. Now remember, children, I am dividing centimeters by centimeters. So my remainder will also be centimeters. So 11 trousers will get made and 70 centimeters of cloth will be left. 1500 meters cloth, stretch it on the table, 1500 meters cloth. And now the tailor starts making the trousers. He cuts the pieces to make the trousers. And each trouser requires 130 centimeters. So he takes 130, cuts, takes another 130, cuts, takes another 130, cuts, takes another 130, cuts. And he goes on cutting like this 130 piece length of pieces. Now, when he cuts these pieces into 130 centimeters each, he gets 11 pieces. That means he can make 11 trousers. But when he cuts the last piece, he is still left with 70 centimeters. So I come to my final answer. So number of trousers is 11. Length of cloth left 70 centimeters. And that's my answer. So the number of trousers that will be made out of a big length of cloth that is 1,500 centimeters long. And if each trouser requires 130 centimeters of cloth, if I go on cutting 130, 130, 130, 130, I will get 11 pieces, out of which I can make 11 trousers. But after cutting all the 11 pieces, I will be left with 70 centimeters of cloth, out of which a trouser cannot be made in this case because the length required for the trouser is 130 centimeters. So we have come to the answer that the number of trousers that can be made are 11 and the length of the cloth that will be left is 70 centimeters. This is how the sum is to be done. Okay, now we come to the last sum for this exercise. 11 and 12 is not being done. You can cancel those sums. The distance between the school and the house of a student is 1 kilometer, 875 meters. Every day she walks both ways. Find the total distance covered by her in 8 days. Now, what they are meaning to say out here, a child, a girl, is traveling from her house to her school. All this will be made and written by you in your notebook. Make a small house here, make a small school here. So from the house to the school, she's traveling 1 kilometer, 875 meters. Now, when she goes to school, she has to return back home. So she's covering again the same distance of 1 kilometer, 875 meters. So from house to school, 1 kilometer, 875 meters. From school to house, 1 kilometer, 875 meters. Now, again, here my measurement has been distributed into 2 units, kilometers and meters. For me to solve my problem, I need to either work both out in kilometers or both out in meters. It's always better to convert it into the lower term. So I will convert all of this in meters and all of this in meters. If I convert one in meters, the other one will be the same answer because the distance from this house to the school and the school to the house is the same. For that, I have to know one fact, and that is how many meters make 1 kilometer. 1,000 meters makes 1 kilometer. So this 1 kilometer becomes 1,000 meters. And this has to be added to 875, which is already in meters. That doesn't have to be converted. Only the kilometer has to be converted. So 1 kilometer gives me 1,000 meters plus 875 meters gives me 1,875 meters. Again, now she's gone from house to school. From school to house is the same distance. So again, this 1 kilometer will be changed to 1,000 meters because 1,000 meters makes 1 kilometer plus 875 meters. Again gives me 1,875 meters. So she is traveling a distance of 1,875 meters from her house to the school and 1,875 meters from the school to the house. So in one day, what is the total distance that she's covering? From school to house, house to school. Or house to school, school to house. That means the distance is the same from house to school and the school to the house. But when she goes from the house to the school, she has to go back from the school to the house. So 1,875 from house to school and 1,875 meters from school to house. When you add up both of them, that is the total distance that is being covered by her every day. She walks that many meters every day. from house to school and school to house. So I'll add them. So 5 and 5 gives me 10. 7 and 7, 14 and 1, 15. Carry 1. 8 and 8, 16 and 1, 17. Carry 1. 1 and 1, 2 and 1, 3. So as I've written here, the third statement, total distance from home to school and back. Going from the house to the school and from the school back to the house, the total distance is 3,750 meters in one day. She is covering that much distance every day. Now, the question is that they've asked us, find the total distance covered by her in 8 days. If that is the distance that she's covering in one day, that means to find how much distance that she'll cover in 8 days, I have to multiply that number by 8. So my next statement will be distance for one day is 3,750 centimeters. Distance for 8 days is 3,750 multiplied by 8. So here we see that we've taken out the total distance covered by her in one day. The number out there was not 8. I misread it from the textbook. It's not 8, it's 6 days. They've asked us the distance covered by her in 6 days. Total distance covered by her in 6 days. So my next statement will be distance for one day is 3,750 meters. This will be meters. And distance for 6 days will be the distance covered in one day multiplied by the number of days that she is walking up and down from school to house, house to school, school to house. How many days they've asked for? 6 days, not 8, 6 days. So the distance covered in one day is 3,750 meters. And the distance covered in 6 days will be the distance covered in one day multiplied by the number of days for which we are finding the distance covered, the total distance covered. So it's a multiplication sum. So I take 3,750 and I multiply it by 6. I get 22,500. Now I can put my final statement. Total distance covered 22,500 meters. Let it be in meters. You need not convert it in kilometers because again, then you'll have to divide by 1,000 and you will get an answer of 22 kilometers, 500 meters. But let's not get into that. Let's not make the word problem more complicated. Even writing this answer will be absolutely okay. You don't have to convert it to kilometers. It means the same. At the back, when you check the answer, it will show you 22 kilometers and 500 meters because they've converted the entire meters into kilometers. But writing just 22,500 meters is also okay. That's also the correct answer. It cannot be given wrong. So we'll stop there. That is the final answer. That the total distance covered by her in 6 days, we multiplied by 6, in 6 days is 22,500 meters. So this is how these two word problems are to be done. Remember, everything has to be written. The word problem from the textbook and the solution from the video. Take your time, be neat with your work. You have ample of time to finish it. So do sum number 9 and 10 in your notebook. 11 and 12 can be cancelled. We are not doing that.